Hey everybody, I'm going to talk to you today about the thyroid. This is my Tuesday morning rant, and I just wanted to clear up a few things. I get a lot of questions about the thyroid. I hear a lot about the thyroid in the press, but more importantly, when patients come into my office, oftentimes they bring their thyroid labs, and most of those times their thyroid labs look normal. Occasionally they don't. Regardless of whether they look normal or not, it seems like the standard method of treatment is a thyroid medication. And sometimes a thyroid replacement made from a pig, actually, or a bioidentical kind of thyroid replacement. But here's the thing that we have to understand. The thyroid gets pinned or blamed or implicated for a lot of deficits in the body, and it's really not the thyroid's fault, so to speak. So I want to break this down and help you understand some of the misconceptions and some of the things you may be able to do to make your thyroid work better. Now, first of all, I want to explain what the thyroid is. It's a gland. I think it's one of the largest in the body. It sits right here above the trachea, and its job is to make energy, basically. It actually controls how quickly the body produces energy. Energy is produced by burning basically glucose and turning it into ATP, which is energy. A byproduct of that is heat. That's why body temperature has a lot to do with the thyroid metabolism. But we want our body to be very inefficient. We want it to burn lots and lots and lots of energy, potential energy, typically. That's a fancy word for fat. I like calling it potential energy, much better than fat. But that's the stuff we want to burn, and our thyroid is responsible for the rate that we burn that. Another thing, the thyroid makes proteins, or regulates protein production, which is very important for those of you who like to exercise, or just knowing that our body is constantly turning over tissues, so we need to repair those tissues, those proteins. Thyroid helps with that. And the last main thing that the thyroid does is it controls our sensitivity to a whole array of hormones in our body. So when our thyroid hormones work better, we're more sensitive to our other hormones, which I guess the theory would be we need less hormones in general, and our body's more efficient. So it's when the thyroid doesn't work, it seems like people are very hormone deficient or imbalanced. So let's talk about the thyroid. Like I said, it's above the trachea. It's shaped like a shield. That's why I think its Latin name is shield, and that's what thyroid means. Something like that, if I remember correctly. And once again, its job is to regulate our production of energy. So most of us want to go work out, right? We want to burn fat. So we want to turn our fat into energy. And that energy gets used by our muscles, it goes away as heat, and that's how we burn calories. We want to burn potential energy, which is body fat. But here's the catch. When we're stressed out, we think we're in danger, and let me help you identify what danger means. Danger is perceived or real, okay? Whether you're about to get eaten by a lion, or you're worrying about how you're going to pay the IRS before they suck all the money out of your bank account, your brain looks at both of those as danger, and it goes through the same fight or flight process. So I just wanted to clear that up because a lot of us are stuck in this very low level fight or flight. So, let's just say stress is 0 to 100, okay? 100, we're about to die. Most stress you could ever imagine. You're one step away from a heart attack or a stroke or an event, an unfortunate event. 0 is you're going to die because you don't have enough stress to keep your body going. What I mean is take this for what it's worth. It's more of an analogy, but let's say 0 to 20 on the stressometer. Any time between 0 and 20, we're dealing with healthy stresses like infections in the environment and dirt and things that get in our body. And how about gravity is a main stress that our brain has to deal with. So we have all these stresses that are healthy and normal, and we're supposed to be between, say, 0 and 20 to be healthy, okay? If you're between 0 and 20, your gut works right, your brain works right so you could get good sleep, your blood pressure, cholesterol, all that stuff works right in this range here. It's when you get up into this range you have problems. Well, my opinion on the matter, and this all is my opinion, don't look at this as medical advice, please. It's good information to help you consult with your medical professionals like myself, but that's more of a private one-on-one patient-doctor relationship. Please don't take anything I say and go try to apply it to your life, because I don't know you, and even if I do, things are easily taken out of context. So anyhow, my opinion is that you're probably running around somewhere between I don't know, 20 and 60 on the stressometer. Remember, the stressometer is 0 to 100. Death here, health here, stress and sickness here. Okay, so when you're up here over 20, you're in a low-level fight or flight. What happens when you're in a low-level fight or flight is your body wants to burn sugar, glucose. When it runs out of glucose, it starts to break down your muscle for energy. And that's just how it works. It's called anaerobic. It's stress hormones. Your heart rate goes up, blood pressure goes up, gut function goes down, immune function goes down. Anyway, that's what happens when we're in danger. But the problem is we stay in danger too long. So back to the thyroid. Most of us are trying to exercise, and we're not burning fat. And a lot of that's because of adrenal stress. Now, that fight or flight adrenal stress will inhibit the thyroid. Okay, so that is the number one concept I want you to grasp. Too much fight or flight will inhibit the thyroid, because you can't have a thyroid and the adrenal glands revving at the same time, or you are going to have one of those episodes we talked about. So that's the number one thing I need you to grasp, which means you have to have healthy adrenal function, and that's a lot. Everything from lifestyle to testing your saliva, your salivary hormones for adrenal function through testosterone, cortisol, progesterone, DHEA, estradiol. Okay. So everything from what you eat to your hormones and lifestyle and everything. That's your adrenal function, okay? That usually takes about 6 to 24 months to heal if you're doing things right. Another little point here is you got to know if you're doing things right. That is where your healthcare professionals come in. They should be guiding you to lifestyle, nutritional, supplement, and all the array of things you can do to be healthy. But you need to have a program and a plan. You need to be coached, and you have to do everything at the same time. You can't just try one thing after the other. A lot of people say, oh, you know, I tried a nutritionist and a chiropractor and supplements, and I tried these drugs, and I tried this and this, and nothing seems to work. And I go, well, did you do these 6 things all at the same time? And they usually tell me no. And the minute you introduce that thing you're missing, boom, you start getting your results. So thyroid, inhibited by stress. Okay, how's the thyroid activated? The thyroid is activated by the pituitary gland that sits deep in the brain here, the anterior pituitary. The pituitary says, hey, thyroid, make hormones. T3, T4, I believe, are the hormones, and that's where your TSH, thyrotropin stimulating hormone. So pituitary says, hey, thyroid, wake up, make hormones. So we say, great. All we need to do is get our pituitary to tell our thyroid to make more hormones. Or a lot of times doctors will give you the actual hormone, whether it's Synthroid or some sort of thyroxine booster. But the problem is, what if the pituitary is talking too much to the thyroid or not enough? So then we have to go, well, why could those things happen? Exercise will stimulate the pituitary to tell the thyroid to make its hormones. But remember, too much exercise will stress the adrenals, which will turn the thyroid off. So you exercise, you turn the thyroid on. You over-exercise, you turn the thyroid off. And then you get stuck in that loop. The hypothalamus gland in the brain, actually it's over here, deep in the brain, that connects the emotions to the hormone system, okay? But that tells the pituitary what to do. So imagine if you're really, really, really stressed out, what's going to happen? It's going to tell the pituitary we're stressed out. It's going to turn the thyroid on, but then it's going to turn the adrenals on as well. And then that's going to turn the thyroid off. And so you just get on, off. You get stuck in all these loops, okay? The third thing you got to know, so the first one is the adrenal feedback loop. The second thing is the emotional connection through the hypothalamus to the pituitary to the thyroid. The third thing you got to know is 60 to 80% of your thyroid hormones have to travel to the gut and the liver, mostly the liver, to activate. So you could have thyroid hormones galore, and if you don't have a healthy functioning liver and gut, you're not going to activate those thyroid hormones, okay? So what happens when you're stressed out? Your gut function goes down. You're not activating thyroid hormones. What happens when we're toxic from too many stress hormones, from too much estrogen mimickers in the environment, diesel fuel in the environment, food colorings, trans fats, cooked oils, too much animal protein, all this stuff, it stresses our liver, which also is the anger centers of the body. And so when the liver's stressed, thyroid function's not going to work right either. So do you see all these different scenarios playing at the same time? That is why you need a coach who can help you with lifestyle and a coach who can help you with hormones and the physiology of all this. Somebody like me, but if you don't want to see me, you're not able to see me, you live far away, talk to me about who you can see, okay? Because you got to do something. And all these diets and pills and treatments and philosophies, so much of it just skips over the whole idea of common sense, which is what we're talking about. Too much stress, the thyroid can't work right. The last thing I want to talk about, and this is a big one because it seems like everybody's got a gluten problem these days. Gluten-free, gluten-free, gluten-free. I mean, I'm even seeing gluten-free on ketchup. I'm seeing gluten-free on bottled water. I'm seeing gluten-free, I mean, seriously. I'm seeing gluten-free clothing. Well, you know, you laugh, but I swear I've seen gluten-free on non-food items. So the idea of gluten, here's why it's a big deal. I think everybody should get tested for things that we consume a lot of, okay? We know in our culture, and I was just reading this morning, that soy has now moved up to the #8 food allergy in our country. It's because of all the genetically modification. Same with wheat. There's a lot of genetic modification. Same with corn. So we got corn, wheat, soy, cow's milk, the casein protein. We got all these things that create allergies in the body. But the thing about the gluten, why it's such a problem is, so you have a wheat molecule. Let's say you have a protein in the middle of the wheat molecule. You pull the protein out. Inside this protein, part of this thing is called gliadin. So this is gliadin right here, and it's part of the wheat, substance, part of the protein. Well, the gliadin looks very much like your thyroid. So the problem is if you have a stressed out body and either an under or overactive immune system, which is sometimes called an autoimmune disease, it could get a little goofed up and it may indeed start attacking your thyroid instead of the gluten molecule. So we're all stressed out, right, in our culture. If you don't believe you're stressed, email me. I will prove to you within 30 seconds you're stressed, and I will get you to nod yes. Because remember, stress isn't always what you think. Anyway, you eat gluten. It goes into our small intestine. We're stressed out. We don't have good digestive function. We have little permeations in our small intestine called a leaky gut. Stuff leaks into our bloodstream. Immune system goes, oh my gosh, gluten. It sends gluten antibodies to go get the gluten, get it out of our body, because it's not supposed to be in there at the right place at the right time kind of thing. And then what it does is as that stuff floods our bodies, it might get a little goofed up and start attacking your thyroid. Well, your thyroid starts getting attacked, so it starts releasing its stored hormones as it's dying. So when you take a lab test, hey, your labs look normal. And or in fact, they even look better than normal. They look on the high end of normal. But indeed, what could be happening is your thyroid could be dying. By the time you figure this out, your gut's trashed, your thyroid's trashed. And remember, what does the thyroid do? Your metabolism, your sensitivity to your other hormones, and making proteins. And we wonder why people have low lean body mass, they have low bone density, they have way too much body fat, and they got 3 gallons of toxic water trapped in their body, elevating blood pressure. I see this every single day, guys. So this is a whole series of different feedback loops going wrong. So anyway, my rule of thumb is not everybody's allergic to gluten. Believe it or not, I'm not allergic to gluten. It's not a big deal. I thought I was, but come to find out I'm allergic to wheat. So I'm not allergic to the protein part, I'm allergic to the other part, where a lot of people aren't allergic to this part, they're allergic to this part. Anyhow, there's ways of finding this out. But the thing is with gluten, if you have a suspected thyroid problem and you don't know for sure, I say be careful with gluten. I would say be careful with gluten because you could be fouling yourself up. So anyhow, that's my rant. Really what frustrates me, and I don't want to get too much into this though, is the establishment. I just had a patient come to me and she said, Doc, I asked my doctor to run these gluten antibody tests or these thyroid antibody tests to see if there's any kind of autoimmune. And the doctor said, well, with your history, there's really no reason to warrant these extra tests. Oh, and it kind of broke my heart for this patient because she needs these tests. If she spends her money out of pocket, it's going to cost. She's got great insurance she pays into. I'm not mad at the doctor, it's just the system, because that doctor probably wants to see the results too. But if you start running the tests that everybody need and there's really not a solution for it, then why run the test in the first place? So the solution is natural means. It's like what I do. But the testing lives over here in the medical realm still. So we're still trying to work that out with each other, but at the same time, you as the consumer and the patient is kind of losing out. So there are ways of bypassing. I have lots of ways of testing that your insurance may be helpful with. So just talk to me about those things. But in the meantime, play it safe, okay? That was my Tuesday morning rant. I hope you learned something about the thyroid and what it does and how it works a little bit more. I probably confused the heck out of you. But just remember, this is not just something, oh, my thyroid is or isn't working well. There is a lot to this, very complex, very confusing, but we have to start with common sense approach and treatment, okay? So if nobody's applied a common sense method to your life, please talk to me. You could always email me, drshawnpatterson@gmail.com. Call my office anytime for a free consultation, 916 933-0974, and the office name is Body Restore, and we're in El Dorado Hills in Granite.